Several outlets, including ourselves at Midnight's Edge, have reported on a possible Cold War behind the scenes at Lucasfilm. The division seems to be drawn between the faction led by Jon Favreau, who appears to be committed to restoring Star Wars to what it used to be, and the Kathleen Kennedy faction, who sees Star Wars as a platform for ideopolitical dissemination. Tensions were escalated by the dismissal of Gina Carano, which left the Favreau faction's post-Mandalorian plans in a state of turmoil. While all of these are merely rumors, there have been numerous leaks furthering the same rumors for a while now. More recently, however, a new and very detailed leak casts doubt on all the earlier rumors making the rounds into question, as it claims there is no internal strife and that Kennedy and Favreau have a great working relationship.
Let's just rattle off all the breakthroughs that he had.
Well, I'll start by saying,
we'll go around. This is like a party game. We'll go around, everybody say one.
Or could there be more to this leak? In this video, we'll break down the most recent leak, see how it lines up with what already is out there, and finally, if there could be an ulterior motive behind this leak. Before we begin, we must first stress that the following information we are about to convey cannot at this time be independently verified. Therefore, it must, as always, be treated as rumor and take it with the recommended daily allowance of salt. The information comes from an anonymous source on Reddit, who claims to be working inside Lucasfilm. This person says that they cannot reveal themselves at this time and their livelihood would be in jeopardy, and posits to the reader that it is up to them as to whether or not they choose to believe it. This is fair. The information in this leak is extensive. However, at first glance, the most striking thing that the leaker claims is that contrary to all the previous information that has been revealed over the last few months, there is in fact no civil war within Lucasfilm. They claim that Kathleen Kennedy and Jon Favreau are actually on good terms, and that Kennedy is possibly looking to Favreau to move into the position of Lucasfilm president once she is either promoted or heads into retirement. However, as of this moment, it is unclear if Favreau wants the job. The schism within Lucasfilm, the leaker states, is between Pablo Hidalgo and Jon Favreau, along with Dave Filoni, and their respective approaches to handling the future of Star Wars. Hidalgo and members of the Lucasfilm story group allegedly prefer a more aesthetic approach similar to D&D, while Favreau wants a more traditional storytelling style. The leaker also claims that Dave Filoni has neither the qualifications nor the desire to run Lucasfilm. To be clear, we have heard it alleged from our own sources that Pablo Hidalgo very well could be a major instigator behind much of the strife behind the scenes. Where what has come up before diverges from this leak is in the description of Kathleen Kennedy. Take note that already, this leak has absolved Kathleen Kennedy of any wrongdoing, and dismissed any proverbial cold civil war between factions as a mild disagreement over aesthetics. This is a contradiction to all other recurring rumors, and it appears to be one of the main takeaways the leaker appears to want to get across. What follows from there is a retread of rumors already out there. The leaker goes into detail about the sequel trilogy. The main takeaways from it are something we've suspected for some time, that there was no singular vision or direction for the sequel trilogy. Each director favored their own approach to tackling each movie. Abrams favored concepts, Rian Johnson was all about themes, and Colin Trevorrow loved spectacle. Abrams had initially hoped to work with George Lucas. However, when he walked out, Abrams nearly fouled him out the door. It was then CEO Bob Iger that convinced Abrams to stay. Lucasfilm's reception varied with each director. However, the biggest bone of contention the leaker claims was with the sequel trilogy's main character, Rey. Lucasfilm originally wanted Rey to be the granddaughter of Obi-Wan Kenobi. J.J. Abrams wanted Rey to be the granddaughter of Anakin Skywalker, later wanting her to be Luke's daughter that he had conceived with another rebel after the war, and that Luke had left on Jakku with Force user Lor San Tekka in an earlier draft. In another draft, it was Kylo that had left her on Jakku, which made it into a draft of Duel of the Fates, as well as the first draft of The Rise of Skywalker. The character of Finn was also a point of contention between Abrams and Disney, particularly Alan Horn. Abrams wanted John Boyega, with the director wanting to set up a romance between Finn and Rey, while Horn saw it as too risky and lobbied for an Ansel Elgort type, and Abrams, who initially wanted to make Finn a Jedi, had to scale back the part. Abrams then asked about a romance between Finn and Poe, which was also shot down by Disney, with Disney preferring a romantic subplot between Poe and Rey, which Abrams refused to implement. The stories, as the leaker claims, were always in a state of flux. Abrams had a desire for a more traditional ending, where Luke had lived, while Disney wanted to move past Luke Skywalker. To no one's surprise, Rian Johnson worked well with Lucasfilm and wasn't concerned about how the sequel trilogy began or ended. Johnson was only concerned with his movie. With Rian Johnson's self-contained film and Abrams' constant need for compromise, Colin Trevorrow would rewrite his script for Episode 9, and when he realized it was completely futile, he walked away from the project. According to the leaker, there was only one version of the ending of Episode 9 where Kylo had lived. With Trevorrow's departure, J.J. Abrams would re-enter the picture, and he was greeted with a script that would undergo a slew of rewrites. In one draft of Episode 9, Rey would offer her hand to Kylo in a callback to The Last Jedi. They would have a climactic final battle in which the Knights of Ren would help him, with Finn arriving to face off against the Knights of Ren. As the Knights of Ren would be defeated, the leaker claims that Kylo would accept his defeat and turn to the light side of the Force, and then die. The end of Episode 9 would have a celebration at the Lars family home on Tatooine, with Ben Solo, Leia, and Anakin appearing as Force ghosts. The leaker also claims that there is indeed an Abrams cut of the film, featuring Matt Smith, and is approximately 4 hours long. The leaker also claims that there is no Lucas cut of the film, and that George Lucas only offered his input on the script Abrams and Chris Terrio had written and did not ghost direct Episode 9. The initial pitch for Episode 9 was originally to be a 2-part film. As to which version would be better, the Reddit user claims that the Abrams version would be quote-unquote more coherent, and would feature Luke in flashbacks going to Mortis in the intervening years between The Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens, Luke having Rey with a female Force archaeologist who recovers his lost lightsaber from The Empire Strikes Back, and Coruscant being a key world in the conflict. The leaker states that the Jedi Paxis leaks were just one of the rewrites. The leaker also claims that there is little desire to see an Abrams cut of the film, as current Disney CEO Bob Chapek is notoriously cheap, and it would be difficult to secure funding for it. Take note of this as well. In addition to absolving Kathleen Kennedy of all guilt earlier on, the leaker is extremely generous towards J.J. Abrams, and goes a long way in implying that the Abrams cut would make for a vastly superior film, if Disney had the sense to release it. As for the veracity of these leaks, they do contain a few nuggets that can be tied together with other information. For instance, the references to a version of the film with Matt Smith seems to align with a previous video published by Midnight's Edge, in which we detailed information suggesting that Matt Smith had a major role in Episode 9. The knowledge that Anakin was to be in Episode 9 as a Force ghost does seem to line up with what was previously reported on, and that Colin Trevorrow's script for Episode 9 became unworkable after Rian Johnson had made a mess of the sequel trilogy. The leaks, however, seem to take the onus for many of the bad decisions off of Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy, in that there were many different competing visions in which she seemingly had zero input, nor was she anywhere to be found. There is seemingly an attempt to paint an image of Lucasfilm where Kennedy is not the one to be blamed, a ship that seems to be on autopilot with competing factions grappling for control of the wheel, while the captain sits back in her quarters, oblivious to the strife and chaos engulfing the bridge. Nowhere does it mention in the leaks the behind-the-scenes turmoil on films like Rogue One, Solo: A Star Wars Story, the firing of Josh Trank, the controversy in hiring former Weinstein assistant Leslie Headland to work on The Acolyte, or the delay of the Obi-Wan series. Also missing is any reference to the High Republic, The Mandalorian, and its recently ousted star Gina Carano. These are serious omissions. Outside of the bits about the sequel trilogy, which are consistent with earlier leaks and rumors, the new claims here are that Kathleen Kennedy is without sin, that there is no real conflict, and you should demand Disney release the Abrams cut on Twitter. This is something we've seen before. A number of recent Star Trek leaks have mixed false information with real, so it is not a stretch that something similar might be going on here. Another factor to consider is the timing of these leaks. In 2019, J.J. Abrams signed a mega deal with Warner Bros. To develop films through 2024. a deal that's been valued at over $500 million. Now with the news surrounding a potential Superman movie spearheaded by J.J. Abrams and written by controversial writer Ta-Nehisi Coates, along with Warner Brothers' reluctance to extend actor Henry Cavill's tenure as Superman, and certain factions within Warner Brothers being adverse to continue the Snyderverse, have soured many expectations regarding future DC properties. The long-awaited Snyder Cut of Justice League and the fan movement surrounding it has been covered in great detail. If the rumors of the existence of an assembly cut of The Rise of Skywalker are true, it would appear that an attempt to garner support for an Abrams cut of The Rise of Skywalker may very well be attempting to gain traction by riding the coattails of the Snyder Cut movement, while either simultaneously or perhaps serendipitously attempting to protect Warner Brothers' investment in J.J. Abrams by portraying him as a misunderstood auteur. We have certainly noticed an upswing in people involved behind the scenes who are willing to spread information, so this could be an attempt at preemptively delegitimizing later leaks they suspect will come. Whatever the case may be, we will keep you up to date on any further details that develop here at Midnight's Edge.